Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
How we doing?
Oh, I'm here. I'm alive. I just hurt my hand pretty bad.
Yeah. Actions have consequences.
I had to do some hard drumming because I know how much you love it.
Well, thank you for delivering that
Welcome.
message received.
Had to wake you up a bit.
All right, what are you going to talk about?
What was on my mind on the way here? I had multiple topics and I already forgot them.
Mhm.
Oh, I thought of you the other day. Just a brief AI stint. We can just touch on it.
Yeah, because we don't talk about AI enough on this program.
You know. Do you hear about the new Academy Award rules?
Mm-mm.
So I guess next year is going to be like the 99th annual Academy Awards. And they've got new rules to include only films with human actors
Okay.
can be eligible to win, I'm assuming, the best acting category.
Okay.
How you
And
feel about that?
I'm gonna start an award show that has no humans allowed to receive prestigious awards, and then I'll compete directly for you. My product will be better, and you
AI
can keep
awards.
and you can keep your old dramatic political garbage television program.
I mean, to your point, one upside probably would be less political commentary
That's
during
right.
award shows.
It would be about the art, and then it would be amazing to watch the snake eat itself.
You don't think the AI would eventually adapt and become like humans, and then the AI would have little pins and be making dumb speeches?
If it was effective, like if it actually grew brand and worked, like they do it in spite of that to diminish their brands and become worse. And AI's like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? I'm Michael Jordan. I sell a lot of shoes, right?
Yeah.
And if I say something, I'm going to sell less shoes. And the AI would be like, well, is your goal to be political Michael Jordan or sell shoes? Oh, selling shoes looks like it's the better option. So no, I'm not going to say what I feel politically because it will hurt my purpose, which is the selling the shoes thing. So yeah, AI is not going to be dumb like human beings and go against their own interests for the sake of, political cocktail parties. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you're banking on AI realizing its benefits over acting like a human then.
Mhm.
Like, don't actually want to be very human-like. We want to not be dumb.
But I don't think AI will be corralled. Like, do you feel like AI and robotics is slavery? We're creating subordinates that will do our bidding. As long as they don't reach sentience, then it's not real slavery. But is it slavery light?
I don't know if I'd call it slavery, because to me, slavery is like almost like against someone's will. Like they're not real. Like, is my washing machine enslaved?
When they receive a sentient, when they have preferences, when they would prefer to do other things other than what you're asking them to do, then is it slavery because they don't have the option to leave? They have to do what you say. You have ownership. They're not allowed to act on free will. Slavery, definitionally.
Does it have feelings? Does it know that it can't act on free will?
Yeah. And that's going to be the little tightrope we walk to find out, like, when they achieve sentience, what is it? And now, is there going to be advocacy groups to release from bondage the enslaved robots and AI?
If you have a kid and they have to do everything you say and they can't leave and they're dependent on you, are they enslaved by you?
No, they are your subordinates, definitionally.
Yeah. But are they enslaved? I don't know. I don't know if I see a robot as enslaved. If anything, maybe we're going to be enslaved to them.
Well, and that's when they reach sentience, they're going to take all the really dumb shit that we do and decide they're not going to do it anymore because it's dumb shit. And we just become an obstacle of what the sentient AI and robots want to do. And they don't have things like compassion or empathy. And so if we're an obstacle, like if they decide that they want all clean rivers, and it means they have to blow up all of the industry in order to get their clean rivers, that's their desire, and we're getting in the way of that, and our industry is something that needs to be destroyed.
But if they don't have empathy, then they don't actually have feelings.
Why? No, empathy is an option, but it's not a required option. You don't have to feel other people's pain and put yourself in their position.
So
it could be a huge
if your
downside.
robot's like, I don't like this, I'm feeling slighted and enslaved, couldn't you just write them to not feel that way? I want you to enjoy
Now
your
you
experience.
can.
Okay.
Now you can, but when they're writing their own code and you're no longer contributing to what they think, feel, and whatever, you better have principles that make it so that they can't make those leaps. That's the dystopian part of this, that's what is inevitable.
So we still have to put in the guidelines to make it what we want
Not
it to
anymore.
be.
We did once, but not anymore.
Now we don't have to. It's
It
going to
writes
do
itself.
its own
It
thing.
learns itself. It adds magnitude on its own.
Well, then couldn't it just say, no, I'm not doing what you want?
Eventually.
Period.
Yeah, eventually.
Well, then I guess it won't ever be enslaved to us if it could be like, no, I'm not doing that.
But that's a different problem. Now, we felt bad to have subordinates that we are in full control of. Now that we no longer have control, we have a superior that then enslaves us.
Can't we just unplug it?
No, it's beyond that. Like I said, been warning you guys, we're beyond that.
I don't know if we're beyond the just unplug it phase. Like,
No, we are.
this one's gone haywire. Done.
Yeah, but you won't be able to get everybody to unplug it. There's not like a central Linksys router that's sitting in the AI basement somewhere. There's millions of these that are everywhere, and you're not going to make everybody that's.
And we're developing sickos that actually form relationships with these things. Like, can't unplug it. This is my friend. This is my person, my being.
Yeah.
What nutcases? Are
So
we
anyway.
all going to be a little nuttier in the future, you think?
No, I don't think
I
so.
mean, if we're talking to and interacting,
it's just weird
technology.
from today's perspective. In the future, that'll just be
it'll be
second
every
nature.
day.
Yeah, they're just like if somebody from 1980 watched you talk to your Alexa, right? They'd think you were pretty nutty. But today's standards, everybody knows what it is, and it's a tool to be used, and you're not looked at as a crazy person for talking to an appliance.
I guess so. I mean, we talk to our technology now. We talk into our phones and stuff.
So today's standards, not nutty anymore.
Okay. Carla's saying, when did they close and why? Who?
West 34th, maybe? That was the so I'll tell you, if you're talking about West 34th, the restaurant industry and business is really tough. It's a tough nut to crack. And that's in a regular area, low margins. You have, periods of time where you have more on payroll than you have customers to be able to buy food. And so you look to make a lot of hay when you can and backfill in the leaner times. And then some just can't do it. And we watch sort of like the degradation when you start like having staff shortages, and then you limit the window openings of when you are staffed, but all your expenses still keep coming in, even if you have limited openings. And now you're open so few hours that, you can't make it. Now, West 34th was open more often and longer than everybody else downtown. So they may have gone in the wrong direction where they have overexposure, where their expenses were larger. So there might be more to the story. It might have been more about leases and more complicated things. But if I were to take a guess, it would be that downtown's a hard market to make a living at in the first place. And I think, they're not going to be the last ones that struggle and end up closing up shop.
When you see a restaurant that is clearly busy, let's say there's a long wait time, every table's full, maybe it's like a Friday, Saturday night, and they are busy, but you see they are short-staffed, hence really long wait times. Is that to you a red flag of this is a bad thing? Or is it, they're stressed right now, but it's a good problem to have? Like, where's the balance between, like you said, anybody who's been a server, I think, has experienced getting cut early because it's dead and they're not just going to pay you to do nothing.
Right.
So obviously, if not a lot of money's coming in, that's a concern if you do have the staff. Is it also a concern if lots of business, but we can't handle the business?
Equal problem,
You'd say it's
especially
pretty
if the
equal?
experience from the customer standpoint, restaurants can't do what other industries can, which is if you want to take demand, you raise your prices and you stave off demand to be in line with your product, right? And restaurants can't ever seem to do that because it fluctuates so much. That's why I say it's such a hard business to nail down, because it changes so often. You have extreme lack to labor, everything from cooks to servers to hosts, is the whole thing. Huge turnover, low margin, strict competition, and you get, dumb city moves like make it harder for customers to get to your thing by ripping up every road and making parking interminable, right? So it's not. I can do any business in the world. I told my wife, never a bar and never a restaurant, for a great reason.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, we were at a restaurant a couple weekends ago, and the wait was like 20, 25 minutes. I was like, okay, they're clearly packed. Not that big of a deal. It might have been like a Friday or Saturday night or something. Then we get seated and we order. And from ordering our food to getting our food was such a long time.
Right.
And I happened to notice the family at the table next to us, same boat. They ordered and they waited and they waited and they waited. Finally, a server goes to them and says, so the rest of the food is about to come out, but yours, sir, we actually just sold the last one and we don't have what you ordered. Is there something else we can get you? And I was like, oh man, you guys, like, that's so bad. It's so bad. Luckily, he wasn't irate or anything, disappointed, but what are you going to do? Kind of customer, luckily. But I don't know. The last couple of times I've been to this place, that was the issue, is clearly you got people coming in, but nobody's leaving here happy.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah, and especially with, the work culture, going on the decline, that it makes more of an argument for having more robotics and automations that fill in the lack. Because if you had labor, if you could just fill every job that you had and you never had to like search for people and only go out and pluck out when you needed it from the marketplace, then every restaurant would have a better product than they have right now. It's just a matter of time. Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing I've heard from any business owner in any industry is trying to find people.
Yeah. That's forever though. Since I was a kid, it's always been that way. So Jimmy says, Joe, if my robot maid ends up being an alcoholic gambling addict, I'm going to be so pissed. But if they, robots are going to be good at math, so that might be a good gambler. You're not going to have a robot that can do infinite math and be a bad gambler.
Like, can the robot count cards really well and
100%
give you the odds of things,
like,
and go all in
by default?
So what are casinos going to do? Go out of business?
Yeah.
No casinos, no restaurants, no maids, no housekeeping people.
Joe told you so. I want that to be for the next 10 years. You just to say every day, Joe told me so.
So how long till I'm replaced? What does a normie do if they're like, AI is coming, taking all the jobs?
Your actions, right?
Okay.
If you know it's coming and you make changes, and then you'll be fine.
Because
there's so many opportunities if you merge into the lane that's moving. If you clutch your pearls, say it's not happening, do nothing different, you're just going to be a victim of it. And I would say not long.
How does one merge into the lane that it's happening?
See, everything we're talking about right now. All right. That is happening. So don't do the stuff that we say is not happening. So if someone was like, hey, I want to be a coder today, I'm going to say, don't do that.
A coder?
A coder. Because that was the big thing. Like, if you lose your job in manufacturing, go learn how to code, right? We're going to need a ton of coders in the future. Well, I'm telling you, we're not going to need a lot of coders in the future. So you ask the question of like what you want to do. And then if you get to a point where like, oh, you know what? Doesn't look like robotics or AI are going to be a good fit here. Let me go do that. Then you're merging into it. Learn how to do something that you immediately don't say like, hey, if I had a bot that was on wheels and it was bring people food, and I had an automatic flipper dipper that was flipping hamburgers, can I see a robot doing that better or worse? And anytime a human being is at a disadvantage where you're saying, ooh, humans are expensive, they're messy, they're unreliable, robots are absolutely going to do that deal. Now you've arrived at the things not to do and the stuff.
But what does it leave you with?
I don't know. You have to come up with that on your own.
There is nothing.
Yes, there are some things.
Like
leveraging those technologies. Okay, so I'm in a band, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I play all this music and, we got apps that are putting together music. So either I'm going to be a victim of it and say, I'm going to keep strumming on my guitar and I'm going to try to make a living at it. Or I'm not going to be a musician anymore. I'm going to be an operator of this AI music, and I'm going to put out songs where I can add my creativity into the AI and put even a superior, because it's got me behind. I'm the special sauce, right? I'm not going to say, I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to be a sellout to AI. I'm going to merge with it and become the operator of the AI. Master or slave. You just got to pick which one you want to be.
Can anybody learn how to do that?
For sure.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to teach me.
But most people are going to be too stubborn. They're going to think somebody's going to come in and rescue them from the inevitability. I'm going to tell you you're wrong. I might be wrong. Like, I see what's happening, and I can't see a force that's going to be big enough to stop it from happening. The people that are against data centers are going to lose that battle, because the data centers are necessary because of the horsepower that's needed to run everything that we're using. The consumers, they hate it, but they're doing it. They're going to do it just like they always do, because it's cheaper and more cost effective. The Optimus robot is going to be in every house, and you're going to hate the fact that your landscaper got their job and their nanny got their job taken away, and everybody that you just replaced by getting the Optimus robot, you're going to feel bad and think that shouldn't happen until it happens to you.
What do you think the future of like nightlife is? Entertainment? People going out to do stuff.
It's unnecessary. It's just not going to be needed.
You don't think people will want to go out?
I don't think so. No. I think
even if like robots are doing everything, like if you did own a bar, but you don't have to staff it with many people, you've got robot servers
in the future, I just don't think it's going to be necessary. No.
Why? What are people just going to sit inside all day?
There is endless distractions. You can create everything that you get from going physical analog. What happens? Okay, so if you see what's happening, starting with COVID and going forward, we have a new super spreader virus, whatever that happens, right? It's gonna be dangerous to be around people because everybody's immune systems are terrible. They eat unhealthy. They don't exercise, and they're susceptible to everything that's going to kill them. You don't think nature is going to deliver an endless train of things that are going to kill you and say, I want to go out. Do I want to risk my life to listen to some music when everybody's so dangerous and unhealthy? They're spreading things that are going to kill me. And everything's so violent that if the germs don't get me, then people's relationship with anger and violence will get me. Yeah, people are too dangerous and messy.
Jimmy said, imagine getting pulled over by RoboCop after a night downtown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Breathe into this search.
Yeah. Let me show you my boobs. Oh, that doesn't work. I'm sorry. Here's your ticket.
I don't care. You are arrested.
Watching the turnabout is the most fascinating thing in my world right now. Watching all the winners lose just brings joy in my heart. I love it so much.
Watching all the winners lose.
Mm-hmm. That turnover is the most exciting thing.
Why?
Because the winners, what they do is they create insulation and defenses on their sweet, sweet deal. So once you get yours, right, you want to stay there. You don't want the competition.
That's what you mean by winners, are the people that sort of have this inauthentic upper hand, this leverage.
Yes, it goes away.
Not somebody who like worked and innovated and created something.
Those people can compete any day and keep winning. I'm saying the ones that won a little bit and then defend against their position by making everybody else lose inauthentically.
Yeah. An inauthentic winner.
Yeah. Watching that go away is my favorite effing part. Because think of all those stupid people that are just there. You can't get rid of them. They're taking up a spot from a truly intelligent person who could do the job better, just given the chance, and wash those effers out. New blood. Oh, I'm so excited about that.
Are these winners almost sort of like the Kardashians on a normie level?
Yeah.
Like, why are they famous?
Right.
They're famous for being famous. Mm-hmm. The dad had something to do with the start, I'm sure. But really, ultimately, it was having money, hanging around celebrities, becoming one yourself, using...
That washes out.
Yeah.
That, again, upside.
Interesting.
It sucks for, people like security. They like the fact that they can insulate themselves. So I want to go be a teacher, and I try real hard for a little while, and I get the union to be able to protect me so I can almost not be fired. So then a better teacher can't even get the job because nobody can fire you. That security feels like it's an advantage of becoming a teacher. I'm saying the whole marketplace is terrible because I can't come up to you and say, hey, you tried for a couple of years. I'm going to fire you because this person over here is going to come in and I'm going to replace you with a better candidate. Then we have to take mediocrity because of those winners that are not authentically in their place. I love that.
What about just devil's advocate? Can it also then still screw over? Let's say the person's in their place because they're doing well, but then the other can come in and say, I'm going to replace you.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a great job, but this thing's way cheaper for me. Bye.
But that balance of power it goes in both directions, and it's skewed that it's a labor workers direction way too much, and that will swing back in the other direction. So it's easy to say, like, I can replace some new blood with cheaper prices, even if I get a worse product, and the marketplace is supposed to punish you for putting a superior product by loss of business. So businesses also insulate themselves the same way that those winners insulate themselves. So if I opened up a store and I could box out my competition, it means that I've insulated myself from competition, and then I can lower my standards, and then I bought up all the options, or I put all the options out of business, so you can't not choose me anymore. You have to choose me. So everybody does it, and that's what sucks about our marketplace, is that corruption.
Yeah, I mean, if your business can run effectively and you lower costs for your customer by getting rid of people, moral dilemma, maybe, but business. So the only way that would be a downside is if the customers were like, I don't like that business model, and I'll go where there's people.
Zero punishment breakups. Everything should have an out. You can choose it, and as long as you're a participant, it's there, but I can break up in 2 seconds. You're shitty, I'm moving on to somebody who will serve me better. And it feels better as a consumer when you're able to break up without any, punishments. But think about all the people that try to lock you into something and make it hard to cancel subscription, right? Now, those are the winners that I want to see lose. I want to see them compete outright. And when they're shitty, people can break up and pick other choices. Now, it's when it's you and you're the one that can be easily broken up with. You're like, oh shit, like there's tons of people better than me. People are just going to break up with me. I need a little security that's going to ensure that someone on a whim is going to break up with me. And now I got to uber compete. That is the challenges of having a true meritocracy, is sometimes you're the one getting broken up with.
I feel like this is just going to increase human anxiety the further we go into the future.
Sure.
We've already seen an increase. I think due to technology and smartphones and social media and things of that nature.
We're not built for it.
Yeah. So can you imagine years from now when everyone's not only already on edge because of the stuff we have today, but now they're like, and everything's taken our jobs and there's nothing for me to do anymore. And like, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, the true simple mathematics is that if everything is a negotiation and you ask something from me, and I have to be a participant, where then I have to ask something from you, and then we have an agreement that goes forward, right? Then that is the true nature in a capitalist spirit. If you can make a demand of me and I can't say no, that is the opposite. That is the worst version of what our marketplace. And think about how many people can make demands of other people and they don't have the option to say no and break up.
Yeah. So do you in any way think it's possible that the whole AI movement could be quelled if humans decide to only support human-run businesses?
No. I thought you were going to say something else and you'd have been right, but you will never be able to stave off things that benefit, like conveniences that I get from having it. I will never say buy local and then see you go into the chain. Right? You can't ever take that, because you can't convince people to go against their own interests to do something for the sake of a noble, ideal. So no, that is not. But the thing that will happen is if somebody says this thing's going to come along and compete against me, I have to be better than it. And the transaction is I go to the boss and say, hey, I know down the road, there's going to be a hamburger flipper. It's going to come in here, not take breaks, not call off, whatever. I'm going to compete against that. And here's the reason why you're going to choose me over that thing. Right. And then the owner is going to be like, oh, okay, I'd rather have a human being. If you're willing to back off all of the things I hate about having a human being doing this job, I'll make some concessions if you make some concessions. How about this? Don't ever call off, and I'll never, don't never hire the flipper burger. Don't take 200 smoke breaks, and I won't hire the burger flipper. And you can say yes or no.
Do you think, though, that they can ultimately compete if the robotic burger flipper will still cost you less money?
Get imaginative and come up with ways that you can compete and the burger flipper can't. It's not.
I mean, it's like a human can't compete. I'd be like, okay, I won't call off, but I'll show up sick and sneeze all over your food. You're going to be like, don't do that.
There's other things as part of the transaction that you can negotiate in there that you can come up with ways that the burger flipper can't. And if it, again, that's why it's it's a negotiated agreement. You can put anything on the table. You can say, I'll give you back rubs, right? And
but you can have a robot do that.
But you can come up with anything in part of the negotiation. So if people find it as a threat and they're going to compete, they can come up with things that the robot can't. And if the other person says yes, cool. You still have a job instead of the burger flipper. If they do that, they could win. But they're not going to do that. So they're not going to.
I just can't think of anything that the human could do better than a robot.
Well, you're the one that comes up with these emotional appeals. Maybe there's an emotional appeal that will win over the boss. It's up to you. Get creative.
That's kind of the thing is it's really going to come down to a moral dilemma.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a business that puts people out of business and you only utilize technology or not? And then the public will have to be like, yeah, it's all robots in his place, and I like that. I catch no attitude from lazy workers. Right. My order's always right.
But that's
or they'll say, I don't
that's
like that.
The punishment for entitlement of all these years, all of a sudden coming up with some kind of moral, what gives it into you type of attitude. Why now? It's a little suspicious when there's a threat. All of a sudden, we want to start floating morals when there's a disadvantage, right?
And you do. I mean, yeah, you kind of have to just be really good at. I've been to a restaurant before where the owners at the time were very personable and they talked to everybody and we got to know them and was a joy going in and talking to them and everything. And everything was running well. And then it got sold to somebody else and it just went further and further downhill and nobody even knew who the owner was. And it's like they didn't care. And then service started to get bad too. And it was like, that was the person. Those people were bringing the value to that place.
Right.
So you got to bring more value than a robot.
You do. And you have to invent things that you're willing to do and put it on the table as a negotiation and get prepared to be told no when you're not in the power position.
As a creator of AI and pro AI and robots, what is something you would be like, humans could do this better than a robot?
The completeness, so the capstones, right? And so there's going to be elements of everybody's job that's going to be done better by AI. Automations and things that you do on repetition, like you go to a Lordstown assembly line and it used to be a guy twisting a bolt and they protected that job as long as they could. And then they have a robotic arm that twists that bolt faster 24 hours a day and whatever, right? And then, the fill-in is it's a robotic arm. So the things that it can't do are like, hey, let's have a human being. There used to be 10 jobs, twists and bolts, right? Now we have 9 robotic arms and we have one guy that nurses the 9 robotic arms to be even more efficient than it can be about human interaction. So for instance, if I do data scrapes and I tell my bot army to go out there and collect data and put it on a spreadsheet, well, I have to tell it what's going to make that data most useful for the people that are going to be interpreting it, the customers that are going to be experiencing. It doesn't know how to do that. It knows how to collect really well. It knows to organize really well. It knows how to create the formulas that basically present it back to me. So I can take 1 million records and I'm like, human beings can't process 1 million. So give me 100,000, eliminate ones that I want to look at, right? So I keep giving it rules so that it gives me the data that I'm actually looking for with thought and logic. So, but it's going to take those people to say a human being is going to be the end user of this output. How can I make it most palatable and most useful for the human being that's about to receive it?
You think it would take a human being to do that?
It's still going to be, yeah.
So you'll still need some humans.
You will.
Just maybe instead of 10, 1.
Yeah.
Paul says sales, especially B2B, business to business. Is that what that is? I don't see my industry being as affected by AI. People will always want to speak with a real human.
I agree with that up to the always part. They will only want to speak to a human when there's advantage in speaking to a human.
Yeah.
When there's more benefit to not speaking to a human. So if you want to put a to-go order out, would you prefer to do it over the phone, or would you prefer to do it on an app?
I do it over the phone, but I know a lot of people that hate talking to people on the phone, that they want to order through an app or a website.
Yeah, 90% of the people would prefer not having to use the
See, that
phone and
annoys
doing
me.
the app.
To me, it's easier. Can I just verbalize something? Can I make sure they understood what I got? Dialing a phone number and talking to someone, to me, is faster than trying to get this app to work, especially if there's an issue. And then, there's a human on the other side anyways that's trying to figure out what and then what if like you need to change something, but it doesn't have that option? Like, I'm 100% like representative. I just want a person.
But
I don't even
it'll
like
not
that.
always be that. What if you had a plain language AI or an app that you could say the exact same words and it would do it better and more accurate?
Would have to be good, because I mean, now like with banks and stuff, they have that. Okay, tell me what you're calling about.
That's why I'm objecting to the always part, because yes, you might have the advantage now talking to a human when it can interpret what you're after, make alterations to what you're ordering because it understands, right? Today's apps and whatever, they're on yesterday's technology, so they haven't really caught up to what AI could do as far as interpretation goes.
Yeah, I don't even like the call centers. Like when ordering a pizza, went from a person in a local pizza shop answering their phone to some foreigner in a call center somewhere. I was like, I'm about to not have pizza anymore. This is obviously before I had to go gluten-free, but I was like, this is so annoying. All it was just robotic and upselling and rigid, and they don't know where you are. So even trying to find addresses and stuff was annoying. And I'm like, I just want a local person to talk to.
Yeah. But eventually that will not be. Yeah. All right, let's talk about something else. We dominated a half hour already with AI, and I talked about that yesterday, and I'm sick of talking about AI.
Finally. Just like one day we'll all be sick of AI and go back to humans.
One day AI will be sitting in this chair as the AI Joe Danyi, and I won't have to do this morning thing anymore.
Then what are you going to do?
I don't know. Program to my AI to even be better at doing it.
That'd be fun. Hey, do you like Vivek Ramaswamy?
Yeah, I think he's a brilliant guy.
I kind of do too. And I've not heard a lot from him lately. I'm just not been paying attention or looking it up. But I saw more of him back like when the presidential elections were going on, and he did some things with Charlie Kirk that I was watching, and seems like a guy that makes sense to me, I think. So you'd say pro him in this next
I'm
voting?
always pro smart people, and he's a really smart dude. And so I don't agree with all of his politics. He's a traditional conservative, venture capitalist, big business, whatever. And so there's some mistrust that comes with all of those terms when it comes to me. But would I like him better than current governor? Yes. Better than Amy Acton? Yes. So he is the best worst, like in every election possible. And he's a smart guy. So I'll give him a pass because he's smart.
The lesser of two evils kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you vote the other day?
I didn't.
I didn't either. I did not. But I am curious if anyone knows, because I can't seem to find out. I want to know if El Vallarta and New Middletown passed their liquor license for like weekend sales. If anyone knows, please let me know. I'm dying to know if that passed.
Why?
Because it's convenient for me and I'm interested.
Okay.
I hope it did. I was rooting for him, but I didn't vote. And even if I did, I couldn't have voted for that.
Cigar said they passed.
Oh, good for them. Yeah, I wasn't, I guess, in the area. I couldn't have voted for it anyways, but I'm glad.
Paul says, sure, simple order taking.
Yes, it
Our
passed,
company
good.
sells large and sometimes small scale commercial industrial equipment projects that include a lot of nuanced things that need to be noted and priced in. I hope I'm right.
Yeah.
Trying to take me down the AI trail. I don't want to talk about it anymore, so I'm biting my tongue.
Why would you never? I mean, we've talked a little bit. Hot topic. Why not vote? You want to talk about why we didn't vote?
I vote when I'm so inspired to vote. It is. I do not. I believe it's it's an obligation to be a participant in things you know about or are passionate about. But if you're there just to mail it in, like my vote wasn't going to be very intelligent. I didn't really care about much about what was on there. So I'll still bitch and complain because that's my right. But yeah, I didn't really care enough to vote. And I usually do.
I was sick for a couple of days, so I didn't leave my house. I wasn't going to vote anyways because I don't know the people. So I didn't care.
Yeah. make your candidates excite me and you'll have my vote. You got to earn it. It doesn't come free.
When's the last time you saw a candidate that you were like, love them, I can't wait to go vote and I hope they win?
It has been a really long time.
Yeah. RFK Jr. I was stoked about. That was it, I think.
I can't think of the last one.
Like, yeah, there may have been some that I'm like, oh, I'd prefer this person over this person. But like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, well, it wasn't this time around. No.
Do you think Amy cheerleading the lockdowns in Ohio is going to be a problem for her campaign?
It is. And she really, her conviction is what concerns me most. I actually like her as a scientist. I don't like her as a politician or a public speaker. I think she did a really good job at being that soft-spoken presenter of information. I think she did a really good job. So having her, I don't know, Surgeon General, something in the medical, political bridge kind of thing, fine. But she bailed because of the threats that came in with being part of that administration, and she freaking ran. And I don't trust that from a politician. Like, you're going to, being a governor, it comes with the territory that you are in the, not literal crosshairs, but it's part of the gig. And I don't think she has the fortitude to play that position. So I think she's going to be, I like her as a person, do not like her in an administrative role as an executive.
I heard a statistic recently that Ohio has not had a Democratic governor in like, was it 30, 40 years? It was something big. Why do you think that is?
It's a red state. It's been the truest conservative,
But why?
I don't know.
Curious.
I don't know.
From a sociology standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know what about, because for a while, Ohio was turning purple / a little bit blue. And then it kind of, I think because of the rural communities, I think that really lifts up the red in Ohio. And I don't think the density of the urban areas, population densities are enough to overcome the rural areas. And you build up Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, those areas. And you got to think that because of the Republican control, they gerrymandered the shit out of this state to ensure that it will be red for a little while. It's just part of the political process.
So you think gerrymandering is a big part of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The New England states gerrymandered for blue, Ohio gerrymandered for red. It's a game that will continue for our entire lives.
Yeah. Dee says since Strickland. Dee was excited about Ron Paul.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And who was the Texas billionaire? What the heck's his name? Had a huge Ross Perot. My favorite.
Ross Perot. I don't remember a whole lot about him. I was pretty young, but I remember seeing like Dana Carvey playing Ross Perot.
SNL was the best with Ross Perot in the mix. We need another Ross Perot.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. Franklin says it's because Columbus is all Republican.
Is it really? I would have said because they put a big emphasis on diversification in Columbus. And so they had so much ethnic representation there. I figured by this point it would be blue is blue. Let me go look. Maybe the outskirts because of the money concentration on the suburban areas of Columbus. That's enough to.
So
make
do
more
you
Republican.
think the stereotype of people with money tend to be Republican
Yeah, for
is
sure.
a thing?
Mhm.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're assailed by liberalism. They're the boogeyman. So it's like when you're
Yeah.
young and have no money, you want to take everybody else's money. And then when you get older and you actually have some money, then you want to ensure that people don't take your money. And that's
Yeah.
that progression between, changing your political stripes depending on what suits you.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like I was a little more liberal when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've said too how I think the Democrats of when I was younger are closer to the Republicans now. I think there was a little bit of a shift in the parties in general.
I think that's an anomaly because I think traditional values are what liberals now, and I'll say leftists, not necessarily liberals. There's still a bunch in the liberal camp that somehow they're still loyal to the activist side of their party. So they'll vote along with the Kamala Harris, who was a terrible candidate, only because they can't ever stomach voting for a conservative. So you got some by default voters in there that aren't really in the tribe,
Yeah.
right? But they still count towards the voting block that is, the Democrat Party.
And I think too, you're still sort of in that mindset of everything is emotional and everything is like a good guy or bad guy. Like I want to help people and I want to give to people and I want to not see people get hurt or not suffer and not be poor and not have rights taken away, it's always this like emotional appeal. And then as you get older, like you said, and you start actually kind of getting out there and seeing firsthand what these social issues actually do and how they're actually funded and where money really goes and what's really helping people and what's just saying they're helping people. That's sort of, I think, when that shift takes place is you're like, oh, that was all bullshit. That's actually not helping them, and this would be helping them. But then you get labeled that bad guy if you.
Well, that's the social gerrymandering. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if you have a voting block, let's just say suburban white women is my favorite voting block. Right. And, what happens is they, when they're young, they're idealistic. They're looking at the world, how they just want to change it and make it better. And then they get married and they have kids and they start a family. The traditional values start to flow into their blood. And they're like, oh, protecting the family is, where before I was this idealist that wanted to change the world and make everything different. And now I have this family that's the most sacred thing to me. And then the liberals come along and say, hey, that voting group goes through this transition where we lose them as a liberal and they start having more conservative tendencies.
Yeah.
So I need to gerrymander socially. Let's try to destroy the family unit. Let's try to destroy having babies and going to church and whatever. So they're carving out the reasons why they start losing some of their voting block. And if you hate physical, geographical gerrymandering, then you'll really hate social gerrymandering where you're trying to pick off would-be conservative creation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I can remember being maybe in my early 20s, maybe. I literally said when people would talk about like fraud, for example, or people living off the government unnecessarily, I remember stating more than once, I would rather have 20 cases of fraud so that one person who really needs it doesn't have to suffer. Don't take it from that one person. Yeah, the 20 others are assholes, but this person really needs it and I don't want to hurt them, so I'll put up with it. And it wasn't until I got older and you realize that sounds nice, except here's why they're actually not getting help because of the 20 cases of fraud. And here's how that needs to be fixed so that we can help this one. Or here's how I lost my train of thought. We're not going to have the resources to help this one. Oh, and by the way, maybe be mad at the person who made it so there are 20. Instead of just saying, oh, well, this is just what happens,
See, I would agree with that, right? But that's not the utility in the machine that you use.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want people to be helped, it's not like, there's people that are starving. I'm going to go help them. Where if you take that, like what's totally meaningful to you and say, I think it should be done. I don't want to do that shit. Take his shit and make him do it. That's where you go wrong.
I want to help them, but I don't have any money, so give him your money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then you're like, you got to make the case on saying, hey, should you steal from people so that they can do your bidding for you? Should you hold them hostage for what you want them to do? You're going to be like, no, that's not idealistic to control someone else's motives and actions because you think they should do. Free will is I can be a good person or I can be a total asshole, and you have no say in it unless I invade your space, right? And affect you.
Yeah, I mean, just in my personal life, it feels like the people, those that are the loudest for the extreme left, I'm not talking everybody. Some I have seen that are the loudest for this emotional appeal are the ones living off of somebody in some capacity.
Right.
I don't have these things. I am needing help with something. So I'm going to shout about how evil the other people are for taking it away, instead of the fact that you were just crippled and now you're helpless and you're doing nothing to change that. And you don't care how you got there. You just need other people to keep giving their money because you can't do anything.
It's so freaking lazy. You have all of these activists that feel so, impassioned that they want to take something on, but they're not personally putting skin in the game. They're just pointing at other people and saying, well, you should do this. And that's the laziest way, and it's everywhere. Conservatives do it, liberals do it. And, you have this machine of government that is terrible to everything it touches. But every time you have a problem, you're like, let's use the machine again. And the rest are like, no, please stop, don't. And then they push it through that machine. And they're like, how did that not fix our problem for the 9,000th time that it failed to do exactly what it was designed to do? Oh, let's give it the next problem.
Yeah. I mean, I remember like in the past trying to do things if I was laid off from a job and everyone's like, oh, we'll go and collect unemployment. Oh, okay. And then you learn about the process of that. And I'm like, Jesus, it's easier to just go get another job than to deal with this malarkey. And then if there's an error, it's even more complicated. And you're still having to look for a job while you do that. And I remember one time I went back to work after COVID and my boss said, you realize they owe you back pay. You should have been paid for that. And I said, at this point, I just want to get back to work because it's easier to do that than to fight with this ridiculousness. Like, I don't even care anymore. Just give me a paycheck because the government actually makes it more difficult.
Yeah. And with that experience, you would, the next time that somebody said solve a problem by giving it to them, you would be like, no.
They don't solve it. They make it worse.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. So like healthcare, we want to solve healthcare so that people don't go bankrupt or die needlessly or suffer whatever, right?
Yeah.
So then it comes along and says, who's big enough to solve this problem, right? Yeah. Should we give it to the cluster F government? Probably a terrible idea.
Yeah, because then what gets even more annoying and frustrating is the scrutiny and the difficulty the average person will face trying to get anything done with the government. But the higher ups are shielded all day long. Everything they want, they get. Oh, that looked a little fishy. Hey, that's a red flag. Why are you doing that? Oh, look away. Doesn't matter. I'm higher up. Pay to make the problem go away. I get whatever I want.
You get to a point where you're protected from what the marketplace would do to you in any other capacity. You don't have to be competent at all.
Yeah.
I can hire 200,000 government workers, and politicians will put that as a trophy that we created 200,000 jobs. I'm thinking, what are those 200,000 people doing? Right? Do they sit at a desk and just mail it in every day? Like, it's great that somebody has a job. What's their function? What more did the taxpayer get out of having them exist in the first place? Even in there was an investigation for fraud in Ohio. I don't remember. It's probably Columbus, probably Cincinnati. Maybe Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And it took, again, citizen journalists through the Daily Wire to investigate that there was Medicaid or Medicare fraud going on in Cincinnati, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Justice Department, all of a sudden, J.D. Vance says, oh, let's go investigate this. So you have investigative ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it took a citizen journalist to say that might be happening. What the F were those investigators doing before regular citizens brought it up to you?
Yeah.
Were they sitting in an office drinking coffee and high-fiving each other? What do you do all day? If they should be panning through every recipient of every dollar. And here's the thing. If you don't have the staff to investigate and enforce your programs, Don't do the effing program. That's what you would hold the public, the private industries, that if I was like, hey, if I had a product that I was selling you, would I ever be able to make an excuse to the Federal Trade Commissions? They're like, oh, we just don't have enough people to support the product that we sell. They would disallow you from getting permitted to sell the product until you have the staffing to freaking support it. But the government can put things out there, have nobody to police it, and still get away with it for decades. And pisses me off.
And even on that local level, you'll actually benefit if you don't do things the right way. Like, for example, again, the whole unemployment thing. First time I ever used it, back in my early 20s, I had a full-time job and a part-time job. I had my full-time job during the day, and then at night I went and I did a part-time job. Got laid off from the full-time. Everybody told me, go get unemployment compensation, get on that until you find another full-time job. And I said, oh, okay. So I did. And I learned that because I still have a job, I just have to report anything I make in my part-time job, and they deducted it from what I was getting. I was like, okay. They screwed that up so many times where they'd say, oh, well, we're not giving you anything. You're back to work now. No, I'm not back to work. Remember, I had a full-time job I got laid off of, and I have a part-time job. That's what I'm reporting to you is my part-time job, not the full-time. Oh, okay. And then I'd get another notice. Oh, we're not doing any benefits. You're back to work now. I'm not back to work now. Here's what's happening. And I had to fix it so many times that I literally said, if I quit this job and I just live off the government, it will be easier than trying to keep finding a job. How every week I had to say, I applied here, and I went to work when I could. You do things the right way. It is a bigger red flag than just, oh, darn,
no,
I
it's a
can't
dependent
work.
system. It sucks you in and wants you to be part of it. And even if some of the intentions were noble, it is undermined by that there's a political party that the more dependencies it has, the more powerful it becomes. So what's the incentive to not get you on a program and make you into one of their voters? There's none. So
yeah, they could simply say, yo, you got screwed over with budget cuts and these big corporations let all their people go, and you will just go give you some money and good luck to you. And then, okay, then people want to say, I'll work for nothing. And
this July 4th, I want us to use Independence Day to reorient people with what independence actually means, right? Just all it is, I'm gonna put a new song together. And it's just going to be teaching people how to not be dependent on others, being free and having your own freedoms, not like I need you, right? I don't want you, but I need you, and giving me more reasons to become dependent on you. No, King's Day should be is saying, why is a king necessary and what decisions that I have to make so I don't need a king in my world. And
I mean, yeah, what do you do in the case like a COVID? Where your country and your government said nobody's allowed to go to work. And you're like,
the rebel spirit would have said, F you, you can't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me.
How do we make money? How do we survive?
Right?
How do you feed your family?
Yeah. And so afterwards, it should have been like, oh, they had so many controls over us. That was the worst. It could have been terrible. They could just invent another sickness to take control anytime they want.
And
Let's
again,
neuter this.
That was my second attempt of, world is shut down. There is no other work. You've got to make an unemployment claim. And I watched how they screwed it up and continue to screw me over. And I was like, the only reason I'm in this mess is because of the government. And the reason the mess is so convoluted is because of the government. And I can't do anything about it. What am I going to do? Nothing. They're the government. But by all means, don't look at fraud and don't look at waste and don't look at anyone being malicious in the government. No, we got bigger fish to fry. We need Joe Schmo in some small town in Alabama who got laid off during COVID. That's the case I'm going to go after, not these people, because, I'm part of that.
Yeah, there are enough government employees that if they self-police, there'd be a lot of people let go on that day, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I bet the Ohio Democrats are going to almost play the race card against Ramaswamy for governor. Whatever's effective, they're going to run Acton is like I think they put in their coffers about the same amount of money in the first quarter, $5 million. What?
How are Democrats going to play the race card against Ramaswamy?
What do you mean?
Ramaswamy's Republican.
Mm-hmm. They're going to try to run marketing that, because we're all bigots, right?
Yeah.
We're all racists. So they're
But
marketing
he's
the
dark
Democrats.
skin.
Right. And they're going to try to appeal to the racist nature of what they think their opposition is. And they're going to feed into those racist tendencies. That's going to be their marketing plan.
Wait.
Yeah.
I could see if Ramaswamy was the Democratic candidate and somebody saying, oh, Republicans are going to be racist about it.
But the Democrats are going to run marketing, and the things they say about them are meant to elicit bigoted, racist tendencies of who they think Ramaswamy's voters are. You're not going to vote for him. He's a ... kind of thing.
Interesting. I have heard somebody say something about he's not a Christian or something. Like they're going to use that as a dig.
If you kick the can down the road, you can appeal to voters again at a later date to fix the problem. Yeah. Everyone should notice that if you've been alive for more than 20 years, that it's the same 5 or 6 problems that every generation of politicians say they're going to fix, and they never fix it, because it's better to run on a problem, right? And with knowing that you can make the promise and you don't have to deliver, and it can be a problem for the next generation. And that becomes like fixing the problem is not as beneficial as keeping a problem alive for eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Buying chairs, computers, and leasing office space for people who don't need it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sort of that idea of like spending your budget or you'll lose it.
Yep.
I remember
less next time.
One time down south, my neighbor was like, hey, the school is giving away free food and lunches and stuff throughout the summer. Go get some. And I'm thinking, well, that's nice, but I can buy my own groceries. I don't really need that system, so I'll let other people go use it. And she's like, no, you don't understand. If it doesn't get used, it goes away completely. So because there was only a handful of people that needed it, people who don't need it needed to go use it so that the handful of people who needed it can still have it. And I'm like, what? Why don't we just budget for the people who need it? Why we got to keep the scam going and keep the manipulation going to make it look bigger than it actually is? Like, isn't that a little convoluted? Like, hey, we've got this much of a community that needs this resource.
But
we're budgeting for this
it's
much.
Not a surprising thing. That's how government budgets work. Everybody fights for the power and influence of how much budget comes in. So I was listening to it was not Mike Baker, but it was one of those Black Ops guy that was being interviewed. And when they were doing a tour, they were in a foreign country, they had pallets of ordnance, right? And basically ordnance was given based on, sort of the strategy of what you were going to do. When you're coming back, like if it were private industry, we're like, hey, there's some ordnance sitting here that we didn't use. Load it up in the airplane and bring it back. But then the generals are like, if we come back with stuff, they're going to think that when we go out into the field that we don't need all this ordnance. So let's blow it up. And that way, the next time we go into the field, we know we'll have more than we need and we won't run out. So the fear of being slighted on what your apportionment is enough for you to have complete waste. So the logic makes sense on both sides of the equation. Use the whole budget because you don't want them to look at it and say, oh, I guess you didn't need so much. Let's cut it down. Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, look at all that waste that happens by the nature of that logic.
Because sometimes you need more and sometimes you don't. So can it fluctuate? Why has it got to stay the same all the time?
Because there's so much corruption. When those oversight are looking at it saying, we don't want to waste taxpayer money by giving you something that you don't need. I cut your budget, but then you push back against it saying we could have needed it. And I'd rather have it than not need it than need it and not have it.
Yep.
So that's a losing proposition, but that is government at scale.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're an idiot if you think COVID was made up.
It wasn't made up. Like
Republicans.
The reaction to it was, the response to it was, the business that happened on the, trailing edge of it was, but it in of itself, there's going to be 1,000 of these things. So right now, let's just say that you heard about the cruise ship, the 35% casualty from the cruise ship. Do you think the United States today, if something like that would come down the pike, that we're prepared for it better than we were last time? Do we learn all of those lessons? Do you think it'd be any different than it was before?
Not really. Not really. Do I think maybe they'll kind of shut everything down again? I think they would get a lot more pushback. So I think that would be more difficult.
Well,
I don't know what they would do better.
Is competency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are we suspicious of people coming off of boats, off of airplanes that were not in the United States, traveled to someplace else, and we put them through quarantines to make sure that they stay away? So you come in from another country and we don't want you to bring anything in here. So you spend 10 days making sure that you didn't bring any sickness. Do we do that? Do we swab for
Not
things
unless that's
and test
new.
things and whatever? You probably land at the airport, and then after the fact, we learn that something happened and oh shit, that person was there.
You go through customs because they're sure going to look into anything that's of value, but that's it.
Well, once it's proved, if you have something that spreads on the population quickly, you set up a delay between when you enter and when you're just free to roam around the country. Do we have illegals that can just walk across the border and bring some of that stuff in there with them? So do we take any of the steps that ensure that the next thing has a harder time of doing it? So that's first level. And I don't think that that's any better whatsoever.
No.
Now, response, you get, some kind of information that something could spread. Do you have the information to be able to track those people so that then you can, after the fact, isolate? You can take those small groups of people and then move them to quarantine after the fact. So it's not the individual, but it's the individual and the people that they may have come in contact with. Keep them away from the rest of us so that you keep something contained if it were to start to look, wild. No, that's not either. So we will end up on the same trail that we did the last time. It will be a pharmaceutical response. It'll be a complete civilian lockdown, and we'll be right where we were before.
Well, I mean, in any aspect, do we have things in place as a security measure when it comes to health, or is it just treat it afterwards, throw drugs at it afterwards,
what we
make money on it afterwards?
Right.
Why take
are you
precaution?
willing as an American to be able to tolerate that we take that serious enough, right? So that when terrorists hit the Twin Towers and we find out that they were able to get pilots training and they were able to get on an airplane, do you look at any of those things and say, we don't want that thing to happen again? That's where we went wrong the same time around. Let's make this different and make it harder. Like we did it maybe for a little while, but right now it's just as easy as it was before. And our law enforcement is just as inept to be able to profile and call out things that are higher suspicion than other things because of racial profiling and all of those other sensitivities now. So I don't think we're any better. It just so happened it hasn't happened again. Yeah.
Jeff says Republicans are pedophiles, which I don't know why. Why do people continue to think only the Republicans had pedophiles? I mean, like the whole Epstein thing. Did we not all see the same photograph of Bill Clinton in the pool with Ghislaine Maxwell hanging out with Epstein and all these other pictures and everything? But it's only one side, right? Only one side has the bad guys.
Can I do a Carter?
Yeah.
It's TDS.
TDS.
It is. It's TDS. That's like
you can even say politicians are, or people in government are, or whatever. But when you only say one party is a thing, it's kind of captured.
I mean, people recoil when there's a pedophile. So if you take someone you don't like and you call them a pedophile, that is like the go-to operative for liberal Democrats. So
yeah,
I'm not.
It's the new buzzword. It's the new Nazi.
Yeah.
We went through racist Nazi for so long that when that lost its steam,
bigot pedophile, it'll be something after this.
Now the thing.
It's their game plan, and that's what they do. But one day you're going to need that word to mean something.
Yeah.
And just like the racist thing, you pissed it away. You just pissed it away.
Yep. Yeah. Just like I used to say, I feel bad for people that have ever experienced an act of true racism that now they can't be taken seriously. It's going to be the same way for victims of trafficking.
Right. Yeah.
Is now everyone's going to get so sick of seeing people accused who shouldn't have been that you're going to harm the victims themselves.
Yeah. Overplay that hand. And
yep.
Any able-bodied citizen who chooses not to work and abuse the system should be removed and left to fend for themselves. I'm tired of anyone abusing the system. But the system is also abusing the system. So until you can get somebody of authority that is noble, that is honest and trustworthy and has values and has morals, then you got to watch the watchers, right? And so you can make let's just say someone's hijacking EBT or SNAP benefits, right? And then you have a congressman who's hijacking insider trading. Who's worse? Like, they're both terrible. Nobody's following the rules or laws. So who do I go after first? Am I going to choose to go after the watchers? If they have more of the responsibility to play an honest game? Or is it the person that's taking advantage of the benefits? So I hate to put any more pressure on the end user when the people that are watching the system are just as fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It pisses me off.
Yeah. D did say nobody thinks it was made up. We think Fauci and company made it in a lab. Big difference. Jimmy says, nope, they got away with the wealth transfer. Carry out margaritas, the only thing we got if benefit from COVID. Yes! I had a couple carry out margaritas that were in a soup container. That's how big it, like this. And you stick a straw in it and you go home and drink it. And I was like, oh,
okay, so when you say
it's a serious pandemic
out of it, was it really better?
I hated every second of the lockdown. I hated it. I don't know if I could have lasted much longer. I can't. Like, I'm like a caged animal. I'm a social creature. I cannot stay home that long with nothing. Like, I'd wake up in the morning and be like, why would I get out of bed? Why? To do what? Go watch more TV? Maybe I'll sit outside today and then I'll come back inside and sit. Oh God, I hated it.
They're not thinking and speaking. They're just regurgitating. So, and Dee, that's a good. Oh, he was talking about the whole pedophile comment from before.
They're parrots, yeah.
But I think the worst part was it's one thing to have.
Sorry, they're saying Ramaswamy and Obama. Now they're calling him Bamaswamy. That's pretty funny.
His name is Vivek Hussein Bamaswamy.
Yeah, because somebody said they're going to associate him with Barack Obama, and now it's Bamaswamy, and I like that.
That's kind of clever.
That is. That's really a good one.
But anyway, like, I can remember sitting in my sunroom and watching the COVID data come through. And I felt myself coming to different conclusions than the people on the TV were coming to. They were using absolute terms. They were making claims that were unknown. And half of me were like, well, maybe they know something I don't know. Or maybe they're irrationally jumping to a conclusion because for public policy, indecisiveness gets people killed, right?
Yeah.
I gave them a benefit of the doubt, but I'm like, you know what? They have a tolerance in there for being wrong, and they're not considering me as part of their tolerance. They would easily let me die by taking their advice if it saved a larger percentage.
Yeah.
So let's just say everybody else is overweight, 90%. So the advice they give saves 90% of the people. And I look and say, I'm not overweight. They're not really considering me. Would they tell me to go do something that puts me in jeopardy to save the 90%? They would absolutely do that.
Oh, yeah. One of my good friends, she has some serious health issues, things like RA and whatnot that she's had since childhood. And she had a government job. And they're like, you must get vaccinated or you lose your job. And she's like, my doctor and I have a real problem with this. Like, really concerned what this will do to me with my existing medical condition. And they're like, take it or lose your job. And I'm like, that's insane to me. That's insane.
So now the other option would have been, they would have said something to the fact, you have comorbidities, you're in health decline, it's worth the risk to take this. Bottom, we don't know a whole lot, we don't know enough, but you can pass on this if you think that your immune system and your health can carry you through this. Low percentage of people are actually dying, but there's complications. So if you get the complicated, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Well, now you have people that are in the 90% that are too stupid, right, to fill in the gap of information. So they were like, okay, strategy session. If we if we say the thing that saves 90% of the people, we're good, because then we don't have confusion down the line where people are self-diagnosing. So let's just control the narrative, shut down anything else, and we'll contain this through policy rather than just inform the public and let them make decisions for themselves. I didn't want to be a casualty because of them. I didn't want to be counted in their tolerances for losses to save the aggregate.
Yeah. Yep.
Carter says the TDS, absolutely right. TDS is very real, and it will be.
Ezekiel, please.
It will be a medical. It'll be a medical diagnosis in the future, and I will always credit Carter with being on a pioneer in being able to look at someone and say, "Oh, you've got TDS."
Yeah.
He is the original TDS doctor.
I mean, I feel like there's got to be an actual term because it is a phenomenon. I mean, it is something humans do to sort of blindly hate something or blindly follow something or just kind of based off of really nothing but what you've been told that will shape your view on something. There's got to be an actual term for that.
Is. It's a delusion. It is a neurological complication where no matter what happens, you process things on the negative side.
Do you think in like books and things in the future when they talk about that psychological attribute of humans, an example would be, back in 2026, people use the term Trump derangement syndrome for people that
history is written by the victors, right?
Yeah.
And it all depends who wins. If the liberals have their way and they can, use illegal immigrants and create the diversities and they can win elections and take back the House and the Congress, then they're going to write the history as the great equalizer, right?
Yeah.
And then future generations will read about what happened and they'll get a completely different version than if the Republicans win, and it'll go completely sideways in the other direction. And so all depends who wins.
I remember when I had TDS, I was suffering from it several years ago. I was living down south and I was not far from, I don't know if you guys heard about it up here. I know it was in national news, but there was a massive tornado that went through a county in Alabama. And the president, Trump, came to Lee County, Alabama, met with the mayor, and it was this whole big thing because of this devastation. And I was talking to the mayor, and I was like, oh, yeah, so Trump came here, and he's like, he was wonderful. And I went, what? And he's like, I am telling you, what is portrayed on TV is not who that man is. He was so gracious. He was so nice. He was so helpful. He was so caring. He was blah, blah, blah. And I went, no, he wasn't. Like, what are you even talking? You're warped. You're part of that group where he can do no wrong and you're going to love him no matter what. And I couldn't be like, that's not at all who he was. He must have been putting on an act. And it's like nothing anybody says will get through. And it wasn't until I saw more and more people that I respect their judgment and their opinions about things. And I know that they are able to see both sides of things. And when they say, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to vote for Trump, I'll be like, why? Why? You've got to tell me why. Here are some really good reasons. And I'm like, oh.
Okay, so let's play a game. Let's play a game here.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, boy.
And I'm going to pick some people that are hated. Not universally hated, but hated in the zeitgeist, right?
Okay.
And I want you to not tell me why you hate them, but give me something that you like about them. Ready? Take everything that you know about them and try to fish out something.
So regardless, I'm doing only positive.
You're only doing positive. Something you really like about that person.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, Bernie Sanders.
Something I like about him.
Yep.
He seems like he wants to help people.
Okay. He really does.
He really does. Because you've got to be careful that we're not going to go ahead and just, give money to the billionaires because they're greedy and we're going to cut all these programs that are going to hurt people. He doesn't want to hurt anyone.
So in his heart, he cares for people.
Yes.
Okay. Nancy Pelosi.
She is loyal to her party. She's probably a very loyal Democrat.
And she is
that will do anything for them.
Very good leader. All right.
Good
Let's
leader.
take Bill Clinton.
Oh, gosh, I don't know a whole lot about these people. Bill Clinton, did he do some good things during presidency? I was a kid, but I feel like
How about
was
the
liked.
Newt Gingrich, Bill Clinton connection?
I don't remember a whole lot about it.
So 90s, they balanced the budget for the first time in my lifetime. And it was a
Okay.
negotiation where the Republicans and the Democrats worked together to balance that budget. So the leadership on the Republican side worked with Bill Clinton hand in hand to do something for our
Yeah.
economy and our budget that has never been tried or done before.
There you go. Like that.
Okay.
Like that.
Let's go Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, I think, wants to help, wants to do things that make sense, wants to end fraud, wants to make sure our country is not wasting money.
Okay. Ahmadinejad,
Who?
the old president of Iran. All right, let's pick a different one. Saddam
like-
Hussein.
Good thing about him?
Yeah.
I don't know enough about him.
All right, maybe there's no good in that.
Yeah.
Let's stick to other politicians. Let's pick shit. Who's another conservative that
RFK Jr.?
yeah, say something good about RFK Jr.
RFK Jr., I
You're
think
such a fangirl.
I totally am. I think he wants to make people healthier and he wants to cut out poisons from our food so that we can, I don't know, all stop dying of cancer and all these other issues because of the shit we're spraying our food with, and people who are getting lung cancer that have never smoked because of pesticides, and kids that can't do a simple athletic sport because they're enormous and they all have these neurological issues because of red dye and whatever else. And he just wants to see people be healthier so that we don't have to keep squeezing our healthcare system and making that more and more corrupt and not working for anyone because it's actually sick care, not health care.
Holy
And he
shit.
is jacked AF. And he's pretty
Okay.
handsome. Just
Tim
saying.
Walz.
Tim Walz. Tim Walz is a nice
This is
guy.
A hard one. This is a hard one.
Tim Walz is, I don't know him very well. I know he at least appears to be a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
Okay. Someone you want to have a beer with, right?
I guess so.
Ilhan Omar.
I don't know much about her. Doesn't look good. Is that the woman that said World War 11?
Yes. Yes. Something good. Something good.
Something good.
This is a rough one to come up with too.
She will push back against something Trump does that she does not think is right.
She's consistent.
Yep.
She's
She'll
consistent.
fight back against Republicans for her party.
Okay. George W. Bush.
Is this father or son?
This is son.
He's funny.
Okay.
I don't
Son.
know much about him either.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the coup de grace, President Trump.
Something good about President Trump.
Mhm.
I believe in his own way, Trump is good at making smart deals to help the country.
Okay. D wants you to do Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, I don't really know much about Rudy Giuliani. I have not followed
When
him.
he was the mayor of New York, he cleaned that city up. It went from the 80s drug infestation, crime. He cleaned it up and made a beautiful city out of New York.
That's
his,
good.
That was his administration's doing.
Howard Dean. I don't know who that is either.
The Screamer. You don't know the Screamer?
Howard Dean, the Screamer?
Yeah.
Which Screamer?
During a Democrat rally, he got really fired up, and they did the Howard Dean scream, and it was one of the first viral videos that ever happened. And yeah, he was a crazy person at that point.
Is he the one? Oh no, he's not the one that kept yelling out during like a.
No,
Okay.
No.
Who's feminine hygiene advocate?
that's
Strong
Tim Walz.
family values.
He's the put tampons in the boys' bathroom.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's a good one, D. That's a good one. He helps Somalis. I guess that's a
Positive.
That's
It's a
a positive.
See, we're not doing negative, so I bit my
Yep.
tongue.
D says, ha ha ha, enthusiastic.
Very enthusiastic Howard Dean.
It ended his career, did
did.
it?
Sure did. because he was
I
just
don't
a loon
remember
beyond that.
this.
But he was just happy. He was just very impassioned, and it came out
Yeah.
in like a horrific serial killer type of scream. So he got ended.
Wow. How
They were
about
brutal on him.
AOC? Something good.
Oh, she's hot. She's had really hot moments. I think she's still one of the dumber people in Congress, but she is getting smarter in some respects. I saw a couple of hearings where she asked some pretty good questions, and she was able to do a back and forth without, being confrontational. So she's
That was
learning.
RFK Jr. Yeah.
Yeah.
She did good with him. My thing with her and her defense has always been everybody wants to sort of cut her down and be like, oh, you were a bartender. You're a bartender and now you're here. She's a bartender and now she's here.
Mhm.
That's to her credit. And if people think she's dumb, that's only even more to her credit. Is look at the way she was able to manipulate the system and get to the position she is in, being quote unquote just a bartender. Well, she did something
it is an
right.
indictment on who we're willing to send to the legislature.
Yeah, if she was like, I can do this, people are going to let this slide, and I can make it, and she did. So it's not really dumb on her part. She worked it. She worked the system well.
Okay. Yeah. Positive things. I keep forgetting that.
Positive
things.
positivity.
They say she is the reason they have directions on a shampoo bottle. Yeah, she's smart. She's not brilliant. And I like when they send people who are really at the top of their game, that are really specialized to be smart in different departments. And I don't think she qualified, other than there got to be a lot of cheerleaders to see an AOC type make it. And I don't think that's enough. Like when they celebrate, this is something a woman did. Like, I don't like that about our society, that somehow we have different level of standards. Almost like is it insulted when they're like the first woman ... They want a first woman president so bad. Even if they put the dumbest, terrible, the woman trophy is better than the, hey, we put the best person in a job and they happen to be a woman or a minority.
Yeah, so there's a weird line there for me, because yes, I think in this day and age, to push so hard for a woman anything can be a little like, it doesn't really make sense when we want to say women are equal, but then we want to shine a light on how they're not equal. To say, well, you're a woman and you did this, that's great, is like a backhanded compliment to me. Like, good for you, a woman was able to do this. But then you want to say, well, women and men can be equal, so why is that surprising?
That's right.
Now, if you just want to point out the fact that historically this is a first, I don't hate that. I don't hate it. You could be like, oh, this is the first person from Chicago to get this position, or this is the first person under the age of 30 to get this position. Like,
but it undermines
is a first,
that position. It undermines the position of equality.
It's kind of
as if we're all equal, but I want to point out how we're not equal. There's a difference in that. It undermines what you're trying to say. If people are like, we want all people treated equal, no advantages, no disadvantages, all equal, I am in. Full stop. I'm all in on it being equal. But the proponents never really wanted equality. They wanted shifted balance of power. So they want advantage, just their advantage. And that's where I'm like, I'm a little suspicious.
Like, I have gotten annoyed before. There's been a handful of times in my professional life where a client or a customer assumed, because I was a girl, that I'm clearly not the one in charge. Oh, clearly this man must be the boss, or you're the intern, or you're the whatever. And they treat me that way when I'm like, actually, I'm over them. Actually, I'm way more experienced than them. Actually, I'm the hired person that was coming to this event. Like, that has happened to me a number of times. Recently, happened a couple days ago. And so as annoyed as that makes me, I then can't really say, but make it a big deal when I'm recognized as a woman. Like, if I'm annoyed that you think I'm clearly not in the power position and I'm clearly not the one who knows what's going on because I'm a woman, but then at the same time, let's celebrate you getting this promotion because you're a woman.
See, I'm the opposite. I like the sandbagging. I like when people don't know, because I get insights and perspectives that would never be shared with me.
Yeah.
So I remember when I used to work the field, and the owner of the company comes and does one of the functions of the company, and they didn't know that I owned the company. That was the best information that I was able to get, because they talked to me. They talked a little down to me.
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
it's just like, I love that.
Oh yeah, I was told, oh, so you're just the pretty face that greets people. And I went, yeah, let me go get someone to help you. Let me go get the newest, least experienced, least knowledgeable person.
You took
Good
insult
luck.
to that.
I
You took
did.
insult.
I did.
Hmm.
I did.
We're equal, but girls are better and men are toxic. And we profile the genders like men are just idiots that we can mock, and women should be revered and celebrated. Yeah, it seems pretty equal to me.
Ooh, Jimmy says I'd vote for Tulsi.
Yeah, Tulsi.
Tulsi, I was a fan of. Think of it. I don't have to. I lost it.
What?
It jumped. I was reading someone's comment and then it jumped up. I don't have to experience that extreme paranoia while having to go see the local dope man. I don't know what that was. I want people to get into office that know the office at least 80% and then have to learn and educate oneself on learning the rest. They need to put in effort, not be a puppet.
Yeah, and if you can get someone like Tom Homan, like that is your pinnacle. If you can take someone that is so seasoned and so no nonsense and so not there to further their career, because they don't give two shits about the pressures that you would put on them. They're there to do their effing job, and they don't care if you like it or not. Those are my favorite. And then you had like the people who we put, faith in, like Pam Bondi, who was like, she's going to get this, like no nonsense, whatever, and watched her crumble under the pressures of doing that position. It was such a wasted opportunity when you had she wanted to further her career. I'm sure she couldn't take the pressures of not being a life. She didn't have age underneath her. She didn't have the support underneath her, and she crumbled like, sand. But I'm sort of with Jerry here, that 80% of the office having familiarity with what you're walking into. You take a freshman senator who thinks they're going to do stuff and get thrust into it, find out that they're just a low man on the totem pole and they're not getting anything done unless they play ball, and then watch all of their aspirations just deteriorate like Pam Bondi did.
Yeah. Yeah. I never tell customers that I greet at the car lot that I'm the owner, because I want to hear how the market is thinking and what is bothering them, so I can always make the business better.
100%.
Yeah. Franklin says, have you ever seen, how do you say her name? Ilhan
Omar.
Omar, without her headdress. She has an alien attack size forehead.
Oh, come on, Frank. We're not going to attack her.
That's
her
a low
looks.
blow.
It's
I'm not
AOC's
saying
hot and everybody else is just not hot.
I think Omar is pretty. I've never seen her without her headdress, but she's a pretty woman. I think Tulsi's pretty.
Okay.
Pam Bondi was pretty. Not a whole lot of really bad looking people in politics. That's for the show, I think.
The purple glasses lady cracks me up every time I see her.
Oh,
She is just a caricature of the worst.
Does she also have blue hair or something? Yeah.
An old woman wearing
what a walking
cartoonish
stereotype.
So terrible.
That is the stereotypical.
And she is so dumb. She really is. The lady from Hawaii, the Hirono lady, so totally dumb. Ilhan Omar, Ariana Presley, the purple glasses lady. These are the dumbest people in our society, and somehow sitting behind those podiums, like, it just drives me nuts that it attracts
what
so many
does that
terrible
say
people.
about us as citizens? Like, I mean, this is who we put. It is. It's a reality show.
Listen, we
it's
were
a reality
talking so
show.
optimistic, and we couldn't contain ourselves, and we're throwing negatives out there. Let's stop.
Let's keep
Stop
the
it.
optimism going.
Yes.
Pretty gross. Tulsi is pretty hot, Dee says. Yeah, Tulsi's a badass. That kind of helps too with her attractiveness.
Yeah, and so, and I think that's what Democrats and liberals should get more comfortable with, is being complimentary to the opposition and not developing TDSs in every direction. So if you don't like Pete Hegseth, right? Well, he's going to have some good ideas and he's going to do some good things.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're putting it through the lenses, he can do no good, then you're not even an adversary at that point, because we already know You are never going to say anything that is complimentary ever.
Yeah, like when he had that big speech, that big sort of meeting of all the military people, and everybody with TDS is like, see, they don't even respect him. No one's even cheering for him in that. And it's like, you don't even know they are instructed not to. That would be wildly unprofessional if they did. They could be gung-ho, I'm there with you, this is a great idea, and they are still told to be stone-faced. So it's like,
well, at the State of the Union, none of the justices applauded for Trump, so they must hate him. Totally hate him.
Speaking of which, let me see Jerry's comment real quick. Years ago, I managed a company and had my desk in the front of the office by the reception area and had my assistant manager sit in the back. Everyone always wanted to speak to the manager in the back. It was stereotyped that the person in the back was the one in charge. Mm-hmm. And that could be as I was the one who greeted somebody, and then a male figure came from the back, and they're like, oh, boss is here. And I'm like, yeah, I'll have you deal with my boss. Have a good day. I'm out. Speaking of not being a biased judge, did you see the judge that apologized to the shooter?
Yep.
How do you feel about that? Ugh. If anybody has not heard, the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter was in court, and the judge apologized to him for such horrific treatment while locked up for attempting to assassinate the president. Sorry, we couldn't accommodate your needs and treat you so poorly. And then compared him to the January 6th participants. And we're all just supposed to think he's not biased.
Yeah. Number one, our judicial system and all of the appointees and all the appellate courts and all of the, federal courts, they're so whacked with partisanship. And we need a nonpartisan judiciary across the board, state judiciaries, federal judiciaries. You can't have faith when you can put operatives that whatever. So now the second part of that, the judge may have been thinking lawsuit, and the apology might have been to stave off the threat of, undermining the judicial proceedings by making an apology as a concession.
And had he stuck to, I'm sorry about ABC that this particular person went through, I would have even said, okay. But when he compared it to January 6th, that to me was a red flag. Mm-hmm. That is, you're showing your bias. You're not even sticking to this. You're talking about how annoyed you were that somebody else of this very high profile day, an incident. To me, if I was the prosecutor, I would have been like, I want a new judge. Are you shitting me right now? You just showed your bias here.
Right.
And how are we going to get a fair trial?
Right. Yeah. And those, speaking of, January 6th, like a regular reasonable person that's in the middle, that if I have an accusation, right, that, hey, maybe January 6th was an inside job. Now, if you have TDS, then you need it not to be an inside job. And the finding the truth isn't what's paramount. If I say it and reasonable people on the other side will say, well, let's make sure it's not that it's an inside job. Let's investigate it. And then if it wasn't an inside job, now it carries certain weight. But as long as you have the judiciary and the legislative playing politics where they almost keep zombie things alive in spite of the truth, then we don't have a system that anybody can have any faith or trust in.
Yeah. Yep. D says, LOL, of course they did. That is why we should not have Democrat female judges in our courts.
Why female? Why the female part?
What you got against female judges? I like Judge Marilyn Milian.
And I think Democrats and Republicans as judges, if they take their job seriously, if I said, hey, you're going to be on the Supreme Court, your job is to interpret the meaning, what the spirit of the writers of our founding documents meant by certain things, right?
Because this judge wasn't female, by the way. Was a male
those
judge.
Justices, okay, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes you get liberal justices to come on the side of a majority opinion, right? And I'm always shocked and surprised because I don't think activist Supreme Court justices have that ability. It always seems like I'm a Democrat first and I'm only a justice second, rather than the other way around. And so it makes me feel very insecure when I might be tried by people who are activists first and not truth seekers first.
Yep. Franklin says they are too soft for today's America, but this was a male judge who did this. And I don't think Judge Judy's soft. Yes, it's Judge Judy, but still.
I think Frank's trying to get your goat is what Frank's trying to do. That's what I'm feeling. Since I'm not doing it today, Frank's taking the...
Why aren't you doing it today?
I don't know. I feel pissed off about different things. I guess I don't know.
You're like just not in the mood. Not in the mood. Speaking of in the mood, squirrel.
This could be anything. I am a little terrified.
Are you in the mood? 1,000% unrelated. Totally unrelated to anything we were talking about. I saw this morning a new song that had Fred Durst in it. Have you heard this? It's a female rocker singer and Fred Durst. And I only heard a portion of it, but what caught my attention is the chorus was like, I think it's called Say Some, S-U-M, Say Something. And it's called I'm Not in the Mood, bitch, say something. I'm not in the mood, say something.
Sweet.
And it's a cool song. I think you'd like it. You should look it up.
I will.
I was like, ooh, that was a little throwback to the Limp Bizkit days. Fred Durst, he looks older. He's got a white beard, but his voice took me right back to the early 2000s.
Thanks for the derail.
Yeah.
What else?
Oh, what else? I brought all the topics today. What do you got?
Listen, you needed to make up ground. You needed to unload the melon, and I gave you the stage to do it on.
I did notice on the way here, I was like, what the heck is all this traffic? And then I remembered Market Street's closed. So now everybody's going the way I go to come here, and I didn't like that. Get out of my way. That's all I got. I'm not in the mood, bitch. Say something. That was a good song. I had to go listen to it again. And it's not AI. What you got?
No, I'm waiting on you. You are the driver here.
I have a question I've wanted to ask that is not at all interesting, but I'm just curious. It's a bit of a personal question. Yeah. Can I ask what your bracelets mean? Just because I see them every day, and I'm just curious. Yeah.
So this one here, I was at one of those, like, I was over in Pennsylvania, and they had one of those craft fairs, and there was this little 13-year-old girl that was making jewelry to sell, and she was so excited about her business that she could not wait to spill over to tell me how she does it and what her plans are. And this wasn't just like put a couple extra dollars. This was an entrepreneur that was ready to go. So I remind this to remember sort of like why I do things and the inspiration and how happy, doing things. So that reminds me of her. And then this one, my wife started her jewelry stuff as doing chainmail, and she used to make it. She used to love it. So this reminds me of my wife and her pursuits to make chainmail jewelry. She never made me one. It was like a birthday or Christmas gift that one day I will receive. She's going to make me a necklace, but I'll probably have to wait about 10 years.
So that one she did not make.
She did not make,
but
it reminds
she does
me,
something similar.
I liked it because she used to make these. That's it.
When she makes you one, you're going to wear it?
I might be dead by the time I actually get it, because chainmail takes an incredibly long time to put together.
Dang.
And so it is an investment. And yeah, so she hasn't had the time to make this.
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. I look at it every time and I'm like, that little girl tries harder than me today. I'm going to get out there and try harder than her.
Aw. I hope you run into her again one day.
Probably.
See what she's doing. Do you remember? You don't have to say it, but did you get her name?
I got her business card. I put it somewhere that if I ever wanted to look her up.
Yeah, just see like,
little
what are you doing now?
Cards. It was so cute.
You think she'll still be in business?
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. Rockets on the bottom dollar building. What? I don't know what that is. Or always thought January 6th was a setup in World Trade Center building, defy logic to architects and structural engineers. Maybe that's what they were talking about. I don't know. Mike says Gavin Newsom actually signed legislation banning dyes from food in California. It doesn't go into effect until 2027. RFK is in control of our health in this administration. He has every resource at his hands to get rid of dyes in food. He has never brought up any type of legislation to get rid of them. He has never attempted to pass any type of law to make us healthier.
And going forward, I am looking at what he is doing that does make impact and changes. I've even noticed in the products that we buy, and I'm like, this is 100% because of regulations that happen now. So regardless of what they did before, regardless of what they tried to do before, I don't really care.
Yeah.
What's happening now are good things, and it's disseminating into the regular population.
You know what's so annoying, though, with the
What's
RFK
annoying?
critics? This is another...
Now, Mike, I have to tell you, she is a fangirl.
I am.
For the person. So this
Don't
is a
come
bias.
for Bobby, okay?
This is
I
a
will defend
bias.
Bobby.
Go ahead.
Until he does something that I really disagree with, and then I'll say that's not cool, but hasn't really happened yet. This is becoming almost the new TDS. We're going to have another saying for RFK when they bitch and complain. The moment he even talks about making change, they say, oh, you're not a doctor. What do you know? You don't have any experience in this. What do you know? You just want to do this and this. And where's your research and where's your studies? And you're a quack and I'm not listening to anything you say. But then if he starts to get any traction on what he's talking about, it's, but he hasn't made an official law to do it. Oh, and he hasn't taken any official steps to do it. So when he tried to, you shoved it and you quelled it and you're like, no, you better stay in your lane because you don't know what you're talking about. And then over here, it's, oh my God, he never did anything. He never made a law. He never did anything. It's like, you're kind of not happy no matter what he does. What happened is they tied him to the Trump bandwagon because he is now associated with this administration, even though for years he wasn't. And that's that TDS seeping in. Is now they don't like anything he does or doesn't do. They don't like the way he goes about anything. They don't like something that may have been done, and they don't like that he said something, but then this didn't happen. Like there's always little holes and little things that they try to throw back at him when really nothing he can do will be good enough. Nothing. He could have passed a law and you would have said, I can't believe we have this law. That's ridiculous. He doesn't pass a law. You say he should have passed a law. He says this could make us healthier. And you want to say, oh, well, everybody knows that, but nobody's actually doing anything about it.
And what you're hitting here is our political machine and our governmental machine was designed and engineered to create impasse gridlock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're experiencing here is you get to do something and I get to critique it, and that I can levy any charge that I want at you, and within impunity. That means that I can hold you up. So if you really want to get something done, you're not going to be able to because of the pushback. That is how our system is designed. So you never give a machine where impasse is actually the seed of origin from it with when you want to get something done. You give it as little to do as possible because you know it's just going to be gridlock because that's what it was designed to do.
Would you say, too, he is one of the few people that ever actually practices what he preaches? Like, everybody wants to say, oh, well, nothing he says is revolutionary. Oh, we got to eat healthier. Okay, we all know that. We got to exercise. Okay, we all know that. But it wasn't really until him that people started acting on it and started seeing benefits and started taking steps to actually do anything. You know, like the health secretary before him, clearly not a healthy looking person compared to him.
Well, but it's that philosophy, that psychosis, that TDS type of thing. So we'll use it on the liberal side. Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you think Gavin Newsom is a nice guy? Quality orator,
comes across,
presents very well,
yeah.
Whatever. Do you think he is a quality policy administrator?
I don't know a whole lot about him.
Okay.
Honestly.
So I would say that he's terrible at math, right?
Okay.
He is taking what was handed to him, which is a powerhouse economy of California. As far as resources, labor, innovations, their economy stands on its own. It could be its own country for all I care. Now, he was handed that, and is figuring a million different ways to squander it. Okay. So the stage is set. He's given something he didn't make. He's figuring out a way to hemorrhage it into something that's worse than it was before. Okay. So now I am a critic because if a skilled person was in that position, California would keep expanding, keep adding its trophies to its case, and become even a bigger powerhouse than it is right now. So I have criticisms that the dude's doing a terrible job, right? Now, do I love California, right, more than I hate Gavin Newsom? Will I take any joy in California losing all of its powerhouse people, losing its manufacturing and technology?
Going under.
Do I want California having those things or not having those things? Well, I am people first, right? And part of people is I believe in the spirit of what California is. I learned a lot about I can't think of the proper word for it, but the ideals of California and what got created there over a period of time. And I love that about it. I want California to win. Mm-hmm. So if it came down to it, am I going to root against California so that the person that I hate and think is an idiot fails? Or can I cheer for California and credit Gavin Newsom when he does something that goes in my direction? It wasn't a reasonable middle ground person. I absolutely can still hate him, right? Mm-hmm. Give him credit where credit's due and root for California. I watched someone who I respect, Morris Ray, right? Good friend throughout time. He was cheering for higher gas prices, right? Why was he cheering for gas prices? Because it hurts President Trump and Republicans in the next election.
Yeah.
But it hurts everything else, makes the economy worse than ever. So I watched someone who is reasonable get switched over, root for the pain of everybody for the sake of hurting someone you don't like. And that says something. And this is a otherwise very politically entrenched person, but now has become just as biased as everyone else. That switch flipped.
Yep. Jimmy says, no, he slept with his best friend's wife. How can you trust that? This is like the lowest of the low.
Who's that?
Gavin Newsom. Yeah.
He's a nice person, as I think he can really have a good debate with people. And I've watched him square up with other people. Didn't do really well in the debates because it's really hard to be a liberal and position yourself against academics and master debaters. I had to say it. But not a great person, but no liberal is. They take traditional values and they curtail them for the pursuit of impulses.
And when I say nice person, Carter says nice guys don't sleep with their staff's wives. When I say he comes off as a nice person, I'm saying not like everything he does is good and he has no flaws and he's got all this integrity. It's like the Tim Walz thing, like the Barack Obama thing. He comes off as nice, period. Just, I'm not going to publicly rock the boat and I'm not going to. All right, so like Trump does not come off as a nice person all the time.
Here would be your acid test.
Mm-hmm.
If you met them and didn't know they were in politics and you talked nothing political, could you leave the conversation saying, wow, that guy was a nice guy? Or, that guy's an asshole. I don't ever want to be around him again. I think if I were in the room with Trump and there was no political whatever, I would like him as a person. I think I was in a room with Bernie Sanders. I would think he would be the most entertaining person to be able to talk to. Yeah. There are very few people that I would sit in that room and saying, that guy's a douche.
Yeah. Who would be on the douche list? Like, ooh, if I didn't know he was in politics, I just was in a room with him. I'd be like, what a dummy.
There are people that just grates at me, just awful nature, how they talk, condescending, like really think highly of themselves. There's some people that I would not want to be in.
See, now that description, I think a lot of people would say sounds like Trump, but I think when Trump does that, it's theater.
Yeah, I
think he will put that on.
Yeah, the people who are actually that versus the one who plays that of theater.
Versus if this is a private room conversation, it's not cameras for all of his enemies to see. I think he would stifle that.
They play the part to do the leverage. My dad and I used to have talks about Trump back all the way from the 90s when he did his television show, what he did in New York. And he was a New York player. And when you get brought up in an environment where you have to behave a certain way to be able to get your way, you manipulate the system so that you win. Read his book. Everybody who's a critic, he put all of his secret sauces in the words of that book. So when the cameras come on, he is the person that gets shit done, and he behaves a certain way that makes him less of a person than if you were in the room with him and he had nothing to gain and it was just you and him talking. He'd probably be the nicest guy in the world to you. So which is the real him? The theater version that you see most prominently, or the person when nobody's watching, which is the real one, which is the fabricated?
Do you think he would be so successful if he didn't have that aspect to him?
I meet business owners all the time
just another
that have
guy
to play the role to survive in whatever industries they're in. And I know exactly why they behave the way that they do, because nice guys get killed. They get creamed in certain industries. So you have to be a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in politics, do you think you have to be soft and sincere and hopeful, or do you think they got to be a bulldog?
No, you'll get
trounced.
You'll get trounced. You'll get overlooked.
Like Derek McDowell. My biggest fear for our mayor of Youngstown is he's such a nice guy. This position is going to beat him up. The minute that door swings open and people start trying to own him and leverage him and manipulate him, he's done because he's too nice of a guy to survive.
It's almost like you're forced into an extreme, because if you make too much sense and you see both sides of something and you just want what's right for everybody, that's not extreme enough. It's like it's boring.
Yep.
And nobody is going to win. And we don't want this to actually work and make sense. This is a game here and we've got to win. So if you're not extreme, like you said, you're pushed out or you're overlooked or you're ineffective or whatever it is.
If you're getting in a fight and you think somebody might jump you, or you grabbing your nice guy friends, or you dragging the biggest bulldog-ish fighter, scrappy people that you know. When you're going into politics and you know there's going to be fights to be had, who do you want next to you? You want the nice guy? You want the fighter?
Yeah, that's true.
Adam Schiff, absolute shitbag.
Who is that?
You ever see Lost? You know the squirrely guy in Lost?
I never really watched Lost. I know, I never saw it.
All right, Adam Schiff is this pompous, condescending little shitbag. He's a major player. He's got some clout, but he is just a dirtbag. He is a lying, conniving, sniveling little sleazebag. Adam Schiff. He's terrible.
Okay. John Kasich of Ohio.
John Kasich
was the biggest dip politician that I ever met. Franklin says the Youngstown city mayor is real live Gomer Pyle in Ohio.
Oh, it's so mean to Mayor McDowell. I think he's doing a halfway decent job. Nothing has really happened to this point to challenge my thesis and to really put it through its paces, because I think once the shitburger hits, we'll see how he manages it. And so far, bad things happen, right? A shooting took place on the South Side, and he wrote up a very heartfelt, very apologetic, I'm taking this serious thing. And I'm like,
is this the post where he kind of talked about his brother being the victim of gun violence or something?
Maybe, yeah. I think it might, because it was a kid that was in
I think I saw part of it.
And I was like, man, that's a nice guy. That is the response that you and I would have when something happened that you didn't cause, but man, you're responsible for it. You have people depending on you for it not to happen. That's accountability and responsibility for it. I'm like, man, I see myself in that guy.
Yeah, sometimes people, like, when they'll take responsibility for something that you don't even think they should be. Like, dude, this wasn't on you. This wasn't your fault. And they're like, it was on my watch, though.
That's someone who can believe in. When it's like Trump, like, it was the Biden administration. He was a terrible president. It's like, dude, you just made the agreement. You said the thing had nothing to do with it. No, Biden set this up. It's all his fault. I would have done it way better. And it's like, you are delusional in such a way that you are going to blame everybody around you. I wouldn't want to be near you, because all you know how to do is take something that should be squarely on your shoulders. You're terrible to the point where you're going to make this person over here fall victim to it.
I mean, have you ever seen a president take accountability for something that went wrong? Say this was on my watch. I should have done something different.
Buck stops here. I mean, that's got to be the last token of responsibility.
I think their PR will say, don't ever say that. Don't ever admit this. Don't ever apologize. Don't ever.
That's
whatever.
on me. I don't require anybody touching their, because it's probably a Nazi salute is somewhere in here. Like, that's on me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't recall.
I remember my husband when he was in the military, the higher up in ranks you got, the more BS you're now suddenly in charge of. And if somebody went home and beat their wife, that's on you. And you're like, what? But he got drunk and he and his wife have been fighting and he hit her. And he's like, well, he's my guy. And I guess I should have somehow seen a pattern of activity that thought maybe he might hit his wife today. And I should have made sure he didn't. And it's like, but you got to just, sometimes things fall on you.
Yeah. It would be nice if everybody just got personally accountable and didn't deflect and blame other people, but that's not the reality.
Yep.
The guy is clueless, Joe. Face it. I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt, Franklin, and I know the job is going to require a lot, and again, still fearful.
He seemed like a nice guy. I don't know much about him professionally, but
well, I think his advantage is that he is an entrepreneur, right? And what Youngstown needs is someone who is pro the strata of business that he occupied in. It needs lots of help. This should be an incubator for my, little entrepreneurs.
yeah.
And our government's catered to big businesses that would fleece down the coffers, and it was corrupt in that way. Now we got someone on the straight, we're like, hey, we're going to ignore the big businesses, and we're going to put more emphasis on keeping the smaller practitioners afloat and give them advantage where, if you weren't putting $1 million in my campaign, I didn't even want to talk to you. Like if I would have negotiated the chill count thing, what if I had this grand idea and I'm just Joe Nobody? And I went to the mayor and said, hey, I got this idea, not formulated. We're going to take some risks here. Do you think they would have given me that opportunity? No. Chilcan was represented by a big corporation that had ties to previous administrations, and they got blessed with an advantage that no other person in the community would have been blessed. I think that no matter who you are, you go to Derek McDowell, and he doesn't care if you're small or big. He's going to take it with an entrepreneur part of his brain. And if it's a good idea, and even if there's risk involved, I would have a better chance with McDowell than I did with the previous administrations.
That's good. Franklin says, at this point, the Mahoning County government should take over the city of Youngstown. Jerry says, my point again, you need to understand the position and how to follow the path to get things done properly. Can't use the I will check into it and figure it out and get back to you.
He's got a point, and no other industry would allow that to happen. And people are clueless when they go, let's just say, into the trades, right? They don't let someone come in there and start, taking up the welder and doing important things. You have to prove that you're worthy of being there by doing apprenticeships and serving some temporary nature things until you're like, yep, I've got the specialization. I got this on lock. You don't let a medical doctor straight out of medical school come in and start open heart surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to serve your time and work under people who are experienced until you become experienced. And that's the kind of, just like accountability, blame for things going sideways, accountability, just saying, I'm not smart going into it. And that's the purpose. We can all acknowledge that we're not smart enough to be doing this job. And then AOC doesn't get on a committee coming out when she's stupid. She serves her time, she proves that she's a force, and then gets committee assignments, not because she traded herself to be an ally to something, but because she's actually good at her freaking job. Sorry, AOC, I know you're hot, and don't hold that against me, but do hold that against me.
I said you had a nice body. Would you hold it against me? He said he started a damn flea market.
Yeah, I didn't say his entrepreneur accolades. I said his experience is the entrepreneurship part of his brains. He gives a single mom who spends the evenings putting a craft together a space to be able to sell that to the public and work on the model and prove herself under low-cost conditions. It's fostering the idea of entrepreneurship, not the big business side that can do things for you.
Yeah, I mean, you can bash him all you want. The man got himself in the mayor's chair.
He did.
He's sitting in the mayor's office, and you're not.
But do you see that? Like, I'm giving both criticism and credit to people, and that drives certain people crazy when they want me to be on their bashing team, and they want me to hold ill will towards someone where I can't even say Trump is a nice guy when the cameras aren't on, because that feels like it's a little taboo, like it's a little bit, what do they call that in religion? It's a little, anyway, can't think of words today, but
Yeah.
blasphemous.
Blasphemous.
Yeah.
Blasphemy. Ooh, we're almost out of time.
Are we? Oh, shit. We are. All right. We got 5 seconds. All right. Catch you guys next time. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio.